Alabama returned to the top of the recruiting world in the 2023 cycle, bringing home the nation's #1 class for the second time in 3 years. But recruiting never sleeps. Heck, it doesn't even take a break. Nick Saban and his staff are already loading up on 2024 talent. Let's bring on Andrew Bone of Bama Insider to talk about Alabama's most important targets for the 2024 cycle. Which you see at the top, we got a pair of 5 stars in Nwaneri and KJ Bolden, 4-star linebacker Demarcus Riddick, 4-star athlete Daniel Hill, and 4-star edge Dylan Stewart round out the list. Bone, let's start at the top. Nwaneri, he's the #1 defensive lineman in America, and Alabama is in on his recruitment. Where do things stand?
I think the biggest thing with Alabama is getting Williams on campus for a visit. And as of right now, he has said that he does plan on visiting Alabama this spring or maybe even early in the summer. Has not officially set a date just yet, but we know that Alabama has been talking to him for a while. They offered him scholarship over a year ago, so I know he's really excited about getting down to Tuscaloosa. Alabama had some success recruiting in the Midwest this past recruiting class, landing a couple of top-name guys, including Caden Proctor, who they flipped away from the Iowa Hawkeyes, and then also getting another defensive lineman in the state of Missouri, Riddick Hill. So they would love to get another defensive lineman, especially of the caliber of Williams Nwaneri. 2023 defensive line recruiting, they did really well, but only signed 4 guys. I think they want to get that number up a little bit more, maybe sign 5 or 6 guys on that defensive front in this 2024 recruiting class, and he's certainly one of the guys that they would love to add in this recruiting cycle.
Another big-time player that Alabama's in on is 5-star safety KJ Bolden, ranked as the #1 safety in America and the #4 overall player. KJ Bolden's out of the state of Georgia. Is Alabama a player here?
Well, they definitely are. I don't know if they're in that top 2 right now. They've been in that top 2 in the past, but I think they've kind of fallen off just a little bit. But he does plan on returning to Tuscaloosa here in March. He just said that a few days ago, so we're expecting a big visit from him. I think one of the biggest questions heading into this recruiting class with KJ Bolden, or this recruiting cycle with KJ Bolden, is which position is he going to play at the next level? Is he going to be a wide receiver? Is he going to be a safety? And one of my last conversations with him, he said he wasn't really sure, that he was hoping to make that decision here this spring. But I know a lot of schools are basically recruiting him as an athlete. And Alabama, one of those programs that says, hey, you can play just about any position you want to for us. We want to recruit you. We like you a lot. We've seen the success that Alabama's had at Buford High School over the last few years. They want to continue that tradition and land some more guys. And obviously they're going to be loaded for years to come. But KJ Bolden is certainly one of those guys they really hope to add in this class. Safety is going to be one of those interesting positions for Alabama this year, just because of the success that they had in that 2023 class with guys like Caleb Downs, Tony Mitchell, Bray Hubbard. How are they going to do in this class? Are they going to be able to get some big names? KJ Bolden is certainly one of those guys that they hope that they can land.
Yeah, big-time recruitment. And another one that they might have to make up some ground in is 4-star linebacker Demarcus Riddick, one of the best players in the Southeast, one of the best linebackers in America, but he's already committed to Georgia. What's going on with his recruitment to Alabama?
Alabama just recently offered him. He did not get an offer before January, so this is a guy that is starting to get a lot of attention from the Alabama coaching staff. Did not camp in Tuscaloosa last summer, so that's kind of a big thing with Nick Saban. He wants to see you in camp, work out with you, and then make that decision on if they're going to offer. But I think after going through the winter evaluations, stopping by his high school back in January, I think they decided that he certainly was good enough to extend an offer to. Now they're starting to really recruit him, trying to get him on campus for a visit. Alabama's been able to flip some kids that have been committed to Georgia in the past, including Raquez McElderry, who's now known as Rock Montgomery, an Alabama offensive lineman. So they were able to do that last year, and he was an in-state kid. Will they be able to do that in this class? Probably a little bit more of a challenge, but I think the biggest thing right now is for Alabama to get him on campus for a visit, develop that relationship. Kevin Still, Austin Armstrong, as long as he feels comfortable with those guys, I think Alabama's going to have a chance.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Demarcus Riddick on flip watch just yet, but we do know Alabama's going to pick up their recruitment of him, and we'll see what happens down the road. Another really intriguing prospect is Daniel Hill. He's a 4-star athlete out of Mississippi. I know Alabama's recruiting him on the offensive side of the ball here.
That's right, and he's a big dude. I mean, this is a 6'1", 225-pound athlete.
Yeah.
That, a lot of people probably rank him as an athlete. A lot of people probably assume that he's going to end up being a linebacker at the next level. But Alabama really likes him at running back, and that's the position they've recruited him at for a long time. He worked out at Alabama's camp last summer, and that's when they first really started showing a lot of interest. Of course, there were some guys that they were trying to recruit in the 2023 class and get those guys signed, with Richard Young and also Justice Haynes. Now that those guys are signed and Justice Haynes already on campus, now you can kind of focus on your running backs in this 2024 class. Daniel Hill is certainly one of those guys that they hope to add. And his father may have played at Mississippi State. After a recent conversation with Daniel Hill, with Bama Insider, he said his father's really pressing him to go to Alabama. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But he's certainly one of Alabama's top overall targets. Certainly a guy that does not have to wait until a little bit later on to showcase his talents in front of Nick Saban, because Nick Saban knows what he's all about. He's already worked out in front of Coach Saban, so he's certainly one of those guys that's high on the recruiting board and can commit at any time he wants.
Yeah, that's important. That the all-important workout for Coach Saban. That's how you really know if your offer is committable. Let's move on to four-star edge Dylan Stewart. We like him here at On3. He's our number one edge. On the consensus, he's number 4, but nonetheless, Dylan Stewart is one of the top pass rushers in America. What does Alabama like about him?
Well, I mean, just like you said, I mean, he's one of the best pass rushers in the country, and Alabama's been able to have a lot of success at that position in the last few years. They used to not be known for that. You used to see all these pass rushers go elsewhere. Alabama could never get these guys in the fold, and then they started having a lot of success. Guys like Tim Williams and Terrell Lewis and Christian Miller, and then it ends up helping recruit guys like Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, and you see the success that they have. And obviously, this past recruiting class, they signed some pretty big names with Yanze Pierre, Keon Keeley. So they want to continue that tradition of recruiting elite guys and continuing to add depth at that position. He's certainly a guy that they really have high interest in. He's coming to Tuscaloosa here in a couple weeks. His first visit with the Tide on March 4th. It's also an area that Alabama's had a lot of success recruiting in the past. Not as much last year, so I think that's going to be in that DMV area. They're going to really hit that area hard in this 2024 class, led by Travaris Robinson, who did such a great job recruiting Alabama in year 1. So let's see how year 2 is going to be for Coach T-Rob.
It's early, but Andrew Bone, I got you on the inside scoop. You're the best Alabama insider out there, so I got to ask you, who would you consider a must-get for Alabama in 2024?
Anytime I always talk about these must-get players, I always think of, what are the most critical positions in the recruiting class. And we went into this recruiting cycle thinking a cornerback is definitely very important. Alabama already has a 5-star at that position in Jalen Mbakwe. That's a huge get for the Crimson Tide. We've seen the success that Julian Sang's having, and he's already committed. Perry Thompson, another outstanding athlete. Sterling Dixon. I mean, the recruiting class is already off to a tremendous start, but I think you can still continue to add some top talent in the defensive backfield. Xavier Brown out of Mater Dei High School out in California. Corian Gibson, certainly 2 guys that are high on Alabama's wish list at the cornerback position. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I think tight end still remains a top priority for Alabama. They'd love to get at least one more elite guy there. Trey'Dez Green out of Louisiana, big athletic tight end, also a basketball player. Certainly one of the guys that's high on Alabama's recruiting board early on in this cycle. So we'll see if Alabama's able to continue to meet their needs, and those are certainly some of the key targets that they're going after in this class.
All right, Andrew Bone, the last thing I got for you is, what's your early impressions of Alabama's new coordinators, Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele, as it pertains to the recruiting trail?
I think with Kevin Steele, it's going to be kind of interesting because he's coming back. He kind of knows how Nick Saban likes to work, how he likes to recruit. And throughout the entire spring, it's more about evaluations rather than taking a lot of commitments. They're a little bit slower out of the gate. Nick Saban has a little bit of a method to his madness and how he likes to evaluate and recruit guys. Kevin's still probably going to be the exact same way. Now with Tommy Rees, he's already starting to reach out to a lot of different guys. We've got a great feature on Bama Insider, going through Tommy Rees's recruiting territories that he's going to be responsible for Alabama in this cycle, which is going to include some of the areas that he's pretty familiar with: Chicago, the Midwest, the Northeast a little bit. He's also going to recruit Tuscaloosa some. But, we talk about some of the top guys in those areas that Alabama's already going after. And I certainly think, Kevin Steele, being at Auburn for a few years, also coaching at Alabama, he knows the state of Alabama pretty well. We're going to see him more so in the eastern part of the state, recruiting in that central Phoenix City area, Troup County, Auburn area. He's going to hit that area pretty hard because there's some top talent over there, and also on the South Carolina coast. So, going to be interesting to see kind of how these guys, are able to establish themselves quickly in Tuscaloosa. But obviously, having the name brand Alabama and Nick Saban behind you certainly doesn't hurt.
No, it does wonders on the recruiting trail. So thank you for checking in. Alabama's about to turn this up, so I wanted to get a little Alabama talk on the inside scoop before they start loading up. But like you said, they're off to a great start. Thanks, Andrew Bone, for checking in on the inside scoop. Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me, and remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.